Just 3 days ago, we saw the first quarterback domino to fall this offseason and the first trade of the offseason as well when the Lions traded quarterback Matthew Stafford to the Rams in exchange for Jared Goff, a third-round pick this year, and two first-round picks in 2022 and 2023. Now, I'll start off by saying I think both teams benefited from this trade at least to an extent, and I think it's a solid deal for both sides. I do think there's a clear winner, and I think that clear winner is the Los Angeles Rams. So, first of all, they got the better player in the trade, and this is the reasoning that you're going to use in a lot of NBA trades, not necessarily NFL, like the James Harden trade, like the Kyrie Irving trade. They got the better player, therefore, they won the trade. In the NFL, it's a little different because draft picks hold a much greater value, contracts hold a much greater value, and overall, teams are more hesitant to go all in now and more lean to the side of building for the future with those picks. Plus, college players, when it comes to players coming into the NFL, are a lot better than players coming into the NBA since there are a limited amount of positions and there's not a lot of top recruits that come out of college every year in the NBA, whereas in the NFL, you get guys like Justin Fields, Zach Wilson every year. You get guys that are that special like every single year. So, draft picks are a lot more valuable. However, in some cases, when you're going to see when a good team acquires a better player in the deal, they win the trade because their draft picks mean less to them than they would to the other team in the trade because they are better than them. Their draft picks are going to be higher than theirs, which means that those picks have a lower value and the better player aspect actually holds a much greater value in the grand scheme of things. Secondly, if you don't want to buy into that, the Rams got better at the most important position on the football field, which is the quarterback position. It is extremely hard to find a franchise quarterback in the NFL. I'm a Jets fan. We've been trying to do it since Vinny Testaverde. I know, or even like Chad Pennington. I know Mark Sanchez showed flashes of being pretty good. Sam Darnold has shown flashes of being pretty solid, but we are still looking for a franchise quarterback. It's been like 20, 25 years since we really had a solidified starting quarterback leading our team. So that's just, the Browns went through the same thing before they got Baker Mayfield. So it's really hard to find a franchise quarterback in the NFL. And when you can say with absolute certainty that you got better at the quarterback position and you have your franchise guy, most likely you're going to win the trade. I mean, I like to say this a lot. There's no price too high for a franchise quarterback, especially one with the talent of Matthew Stafford. There's no price that is too high. There's no going, oh, well, 2 first-round picks, you can't do that. No. Matthew Stafford makes your team better immediately by 2 or 3 games, maybe 4, if you're lucky. So, if you improve at the quarterback position, you're most likely going to win a trade as well. Now, they've now improved, in my eyes at least, to be the best team in their division. And now this is very important because in the NFL, you compete with the 3 other teams in your division. And it's extremely hard to make it to a Super Bowl or even be taken seriously as contenders if you don't come out of your division as the winner. The Giants are a team that I don't even believe did it. I'm sort of blanking on them right now, but I think the Giants did not win the division. But just in case, or one of the years that they went to the Super Bowl, just in case that is not true, the Buccaneers made the Super Bowl this year as a wild card, and I can't think of another team in the last 5 years, at least off the top of my head, that did that. You need to win your division to have a good chance at the Super Bowl. More importantly, you need to have a top 1 seed in your conference because that bye week is just also important in the NFL. Now, the division is the first step to that, and especially when you're in a division like the NFC West, if you're the best team in that division, you're most likely the best team in the conference. You got teams like the Cardinals, 49ers, Seahawks, and Rams. I can see all 4 of these teams going to the Super Bowl next year. The Rams just went from possibly 4th in their division to 1st within 1 trade, and that is extremely important because Matthew Stafford does a lot more than Jared Goff could ever do on a football field. And that is why they go up so high in power rankings after this deal. I think their overall win projection went up from 9 to 12 or 11 after this trade. That is a big jump, especially for a playoff team and a team that could now look to contend for a Super Bowl. So, yeah. I want to speak to the Lions part of the trade a bit. The picks the Lions got aren't that... They're not that valuable, okay? As I said earlier, they're going to be late first-round picks. The Rams are going to be contending for a Super Bowl, so those picks aren't going to hold as nearly as much valuable as some Lions fans might think right now. They're going to be borderline first, possibly even labeled as early second-round picks like we thought was going to happen when Jamal Adams was traded to the Seahawks. And the Jets got those 2 first-round picks. People thought that those were going to be borderline firsts, sort of early seconds, but that didn't end up being the case because the difference here is the quarterback position is the most important position on the field. The safety is arguably the least important. Maybe fullback can be in that conversation as well. But overall, the Lions didn't get, when you look at the picks they got, they're not going to be very high. I think they're not going to be towards the top of the draft. They're going to be toward the end of the first round in the 29 to 32 range, somewhere in that. I don't think you trade your quarterback for that low of a price. I would look for something else in return, especially because now the Rams got the Jared Goff contract off the books. They shipped it to Detroit. And I think Detroit, man, that's going to hurt when you're trying to get Kenny Golladay back. Now I don't even think there's a chance after the Matthew Stafford trade. Why would Golladay even want to come back? I don't look at Jared Goff and think that is a quarterback that I want to lead my team. I look at him more as a guy, he doesn't elevate his teammates. He's just okay. I mean, and his cap hit, he signed a 4-year, $134 million contract. 27 is coming off the books this year. I mean, that's way too much. That's way too much money to pay a quarterback like that. I hold Jimmy Garoppolo and Jared Goff in the same kind of tier. I'm not very high on either. I think Garoppolo is marginally better. And when Jimmy Garoppolo is marginally better than you, I don't think you're a franchise quarterback. I'm just going to say that right now because I'm not high on either of them. I think they're both game managers. But, and let me just say one thing. The Rams have been fine with no first-round picks over the last couple of years. I mean, the last first-round pick they had is when they selected Jared Goff, number 1 overall. They didn't have a first in 2015. 2016, they took Jared Goff. 2017, they didn't have one. 2018, they didn't have one. 2019, 2020, this year they don't have one, and they won't have one in 2022 or 2023. So the whole narrative that the Rams are stupid, they traded their future for an old quarterback. First of all, Matthew Stafford is 32, Aaron Rodgers is 37. I think Stafford can play up towards his late 30s, so he has at least 4 or 5 good years of football left in him. But the argument that they gave away their whole future, just stop. I mean, those first-round picks aren't going to hurt them or help them any more than they would the Chiefs. I mean, if the Chiefs traded their first-round picks, it wouldn't matter because they're the Chiefs. They're an amazing team. I view the Rams in the same light. And, man, just imagine what Sean McVay can do with Matthew Stafford as his quarterback. I mean, he probably felt extremely handicapped with Jared Goff at the helm. Jared Goff he's not very good, and when you have an offensive genius coach like Sean McVay, I think this guy is the 3rd or 4th best coach in the NFL. When you have a guy like that and you can give him one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, I mean, man, that's just amazing. And it's going to be really fun to watch how this offense operates. Because the last time Matthew Stafford had a top 10 defense, he went 11-5 and led the Lions to the playoffs. Now he has the best defense in the league. And along with that, he also has Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, 2 of the most underrated receivers in the league, Tyler Higbee, and if they bring back Gerald Everett, they have 2 formidable tight ends. They have a couple good running backs, and Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and I believe Malcolm Brown. Those are guys that are pretty good at their job, and their offensive line it's not that good, but it's definitely good enough to have a guy. It's good enough to give you some time to throw, and it's going to give Stafford a lot more time to throw than they did Goff, because Stafford can actually avoid pressure, whereas Goff is a statue in the pocket. And I want to end it off like this. Man, I feel bad for Jared Goff. I mean, he went from LA and this amazing contender team to Detroit, and I'm sorry, Lions fans, because I know there's a couple Lions fans that watch this show, but Detroit is just a black hole of suck, man. Nobody, if you play for the Lions, or all in all, a Detroit team, it's not looking good for you. I mean, this team has been known for wasting players' careers, like Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson, making them retire in their prime. They wasted Matthew Stafford's career to this point, and he's been in the league about 11, 12 years. So, yeah, I mean, I just feel bad for Jared Goff. I give him a year there. I don't think he lasts as a starting quarterback with the Detroit Lions. I think this is going to be one of his worst years, if not his worst year, because you look what he did with Jared Goff, and I know, or you look what he did with Sean McVay, and I've heard Lions fans say he could have a bounce-back year this year. One season doesn't define a quarterback. You don't go from having one of the best quarterbacks in the league, or one of the best coaches in the league, some amazing weapons, and a top 10 defense, a top 5 defense, to a team with a bottom 5 defense, bottom 5 supporting cast, and a new head coach that doesn't look at all promising, plus incompetent ownership. That's just not how it works. You don't get better going from the Rams to the Lions. You just don't get better. In fact, you get marginally worse. So I feel bad for Jared Goff. I give him a year max, 2 years max left as being a starting quarterback in the NFL, because his career is going to die in Detroit, and I do feel bad for him, but I gotta say, I do think the Rams won this trade, and I don't think it's particularly close.